Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and felt like someone was standing at the edge of your bed? You tell yourself it's just a dream or a shadow or your imagination. But what if it wasn't? What if it was something older than the vampire myths you've seen in movies? Something that crawled out of the soil with your name already on its lips? In the dark forests and forgotten villages of Romania, people whisper about the Strigoi. Not ghosts, not demons. The Strigoi are worse. The dead who refuse to stay buried. They rise at night, hungry, with the faces of people you once loved. But don't let that fool you. They are not your family anymore. They knock at your window, begging to be let inside. And the moment you answer, you belong to them. This isn't just folklore. For centuries, villagers dug up graves, staked corpses, and burned the dead alive, swearing they had seen the Strigoi walking among them. And tonight, I'll tell you the story that proves it. So turn off the lights, lock your door, and don't look outside. They buried Ion Petrescu at dusk. The villagers refused to let the sun fully set before the grave was filled. The church bell tolled, slow and heavy as the coffin sank into the damp soil. No one cried. Ion had been cruel in life, a drunk, a bully, feared more than loved. His widow Anna stood stiff as a statue by the grave, her veil trembling in the wind. The priest's prayers faltered, and more than one villager muttered, "He won't stay down." The first shovelfuls of dirt struck the coffin with a hollow echo, like knocking from beneath the earth. Men hurried to cover it quickly. That night the dogs began to howl. From the barns, from the edge of the forest, the cries rose together until it sounded like the whole village was under siege. Doors were barred, candles were snuffed. Still, in Anna's cottage, she heard it, scratching along the shutters. Then came the tapping, slow, deliberate, and a voice. Anna, her husband's voice, but wrong. Wet, broken, muffled by earth. "Anna, let me in, it's cold." The candle slipped from her hand and went out. The next morning, villagers whispered that they had seen Ion walking in the fog, his body stiff, his head turning too slowly, as though the bones inside him no longer belonged to him. Chickens vanished from their coops. A calf was found drained at the riverbank, its eyes rolled back, its body white as wax. On the third night, children woke to tapping at their windows. By dawn, the blacksmith's boy was found lying in the meadow. His skin was pale, lips blue, chest torn with scratches like claw marks. His father swore he had been drained of every drop of blood. The villagers gathered at the church, voices shaking with fear. The priest hesitated, then confessed. When Ion was buried, he had felt the coffin shift. He had heard breathing. That night they dug him up. Lanterns flickered against crooked gravestones as shovels bit the earth. The deeper they went, the colder the air became until their breath came out in clouds. At last the coffin was pulled free. The priest whispered a prayer. Two men pried the lid open. Ion lay inside. His skin was not grey or rotted, but pink, almost warm. His nails were long, black, packed with soil. His lips were wet with blood. And then his eyes opened, wide black. Alive, Ion smiled. That smile was only the beginning. What the villagers did next still echoes in that graveyard today. If you want to hear how they tried and failed to silence him, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what stories would you like to hear. Thank you. I almost forgot what you'd do if you heard that knock at your window. Ion's eyes snapped open, black and glistening in the lantern light. The smile that spread across his face was too wide, stretching as if his skin was straining to hold it. For a moment, no one moved. Then Ion's chest rose with a long, rattling breath. The men stumbled back. One dropped his lantern, and shadows jumped like flames across the gravestones. Father Ionescu whispered, "Hold him down." But his voice trembled. Ion sat up, slowly, deliberately, as though the coffin was no more than a bed he had risen from. His head turned, stiff and unnatural, his gaze sweeping the circle of terrified villagers. Anna screamed. Ion's mouth parted, and what came out wasn't a word but a sound, a shriek that rattled the air, sharp and metallic, like iron tearing on stone. The villagers clutched their ears, lanterns swinging wildly. Then Ion lunged. The men nearest slammed the coffin lid down and drove their weight upon it. His nails scratched deep gouges through the wood, splinters flying. The priest shouted for the stake, his voice breaking as the coffin bucked beneath them. One man raised the sharpened oak, hands shaking so badly he nearly dropped it. With a cry, he drove it down. The sound was sickening. Not the dull thud of wood through flesh, but a scream, high-pitched and inhuman, that burst from Ion's throat. His body convulsed, his back arched until the bones cracked like dry twigs. For a moment, silence. His eyes rolled back, his hands twitched. The villagers stepped away, crossing themselves. They thought it was over, but then his lips moved. Not a scream this time, but a whisper, broken and hateful. "I will walk again." The priest ordered his heart cut out and the body burned. The villagers obeyed, though their hands shook so badly the blade slipped twice before sinking into Ion's chest. The blood that poured out was not black or stagnant, but red, fresh, alive. They dragged him to the edge of the graveyard, piled wood and set the fire. The flames roared, but Ion's face did not blacken at once. His eyes remained open, staring, and some swore they saw his lips still forming words in the smoke. Anna fainted. The others held her back as the body burned, the scream fading into crackling embers. By dawn, all that remained was ash. The villagers thought they had won. They whispered prayers of relief, wiped the sweat from their brows, and returned home. But the priest stayed. He stood by the smoldering pit, clutching his cross until the metal burned his palm. Because he had seen what no one else had noticed. In the ashes, something twitched. A fragment of bone, blackened but still moving. And when the wind shifted, Father Ionescu swore he heard it again, a whisper crawling through the smoke. "I will walk again." For a few nights, the village was quiet. The dogs stopped howling. Children slept without tapping at their windows. The blacksmith even smiled again, though his smile was thin and tired. They all believed it was over. Ion was gone, burned, scattered to the wind. But Father Ionescu did not sleep. He could not. Each night he dreamed of the ashes. He heard the whisper, "Still I will walk again," and saw the twitching of that blackened bone. He prayed until his lips bled, yet the feeling grew heavier. Something had survived the fire. On the fifth night, Anna awoke to the sound of footsteps, slow, dragging across her floorboards, but she lived alone. Her candle sputtered, throwing shadows across the room. She listened, every muscle locked. Then came the voice, "Anna." It was the same voice that had called from the window, low, wet, broken. Her heart froze. The door creaked open, though she had bolted it, and there he was, Ion. Not burned, not ash, but whole. His skin was pale, stretched too tight across his bones, his nails black and long. His eyes gleamed like wet stone. Anna's scream caught in her throat. She stumbled back, clutching the candle, the flame shaking wildly. Ion smiled, his teeth sharp, glistening. "You left me," he whispered, "but I came back." The flame died. Darkness swallowed the room. When neighbors heard her screams, they rushed to her cottage. But the door was already wide open, swinging on broken hinges. The floor was streaked with mud and blood. Anna was gone. The priest gathered the villagers in the church that night. His face was ashen. "The Strigoi cannot be destroyed by fire alone," he said. "We buried evil, and evil has risen. He will not stop with Anna. He will feed until nothing is left." And as if to prove his words, a sound rose outside, a hollow knocking, not on the church door, but all along the windows at once. The villagers froze, clutching each other, praying in whispers. The priest raised his cross, but his hand shook violently. Then the door creaked, though no one touched it. The wind howled through the church, snuffing the candles, and in the shadows they saw him, Ion standing tall in the doorway, eyes black, mouth stretched into that same awful smile. His voice was a whisper, but it carried to every ear, "I told you I would walk again." The village woke to whispers. The wind carried rumors. Another child gone, another animal drained of blood. Panic had replaced courage. No one slept, and no one dared walk outside after dark. Father Ionescu tried to gather the villagers in the church, but even he could see the fear in their eyes. They huddled together, clutching candles and crosses, yet every sound outside a branch, snapping, the howl of a dog, a soft knock at a shutter sent them trembling. It began at the edge of the village. The miller's wife woke to a scratching at her window. She whispered a prayer, but curiosity forced her to glance. Her scream shattered the night. When the villagers arrived, she was gone. The window was open, mud tracked inside, and in the shadows the faintest outline of black eyes and a smile. One by one, the Strigoi moved through the village. No one knew where he would strike next. Children vanished from beds. Livestock disappeared without a trace. Windows that had been locked tight were found wide open, doors ajar as if invited in. The priest instructed them to stay together, to keep fires burning, to pray aloud, but even the flames could not keep him at bay. His laughter was low, wet, metallic, echoed from the woods and alleyways. He did not rush, he stalked, patient, feeding on fear as much as flesh. That night, Anna's house stood silent. No one dared enter after what had happened before. Yet Father Ionescu had to know if she was alive. He crept through the shadows, candle trembling, heart hammering. As he stepped onto the threshold, a whisper floated through the air. "He will never leave you." The door slammed shut behind him, the candle fell. The smell of wet earth and iron filled the room. And then he saw them, the remnants of victims, pale, drained, faces frozen in terror. In the corner a shadow moved, Ion, his smile wider than ever, eyes glinting with hunger. The priest raised his cross, but the Strigoi laughed. "You cannot stop me," he said. "I am beyond fire, beyond stakes. I only wait, and I feed." The Father Ionescu stumbled backward. He had to warn the village, had to prepare them, but a cold dread rooted him to the spot. Ion stepped closer, deliberate and slow, each footfall a drumbeat of terror. Outside, the villagers heard the sound, first faint, then louder, like someone dragging themselves across the floorboards. Their blood ran cold. They realized the hunt had begun and no home was safe. By dawn, the village was silent. Too silent. Windows were smashed, doors broken. Only the ash of the fires remained from earlier attempts to destroy him. And in the distance, a faint, cruel laugh drifted through the mist. Ion had returned, and now the entire village trembled under his shadow. Chapter 5. The Priest's Last Stand. The village had fallen into a restless fear, a terror that did not sleep. Windows remained shuttered, doors bolted, fires burned in every hearth. Yet even this did not stop him. Ion, the Strigoi, the Romanian vampire, moved like a shadow, silent and relentless, slipping through alleyways and forest paths, always watching, always waiting. Father Ionescu gathered the villagers in the church, his face pale and drawn. He held a crucifix in one hand and a small vial of consecrated oil in the other. "We cannot run," he said, his voice trembling. "We must confront him. We must bind him before more souls are taken." The villagers nodded, their faces a mixture of terror and resolve. Stakes were sharpened, holy water was poured into bowls. Salt was scattered across thresholds. Candles were lit, forming a circle around the churchyard. Every step was careful, deliberate. Every movement filled with the knowledge that one mistake could mean death. As night fell, the wind carried a familiar whisper through the village. "I will walk again." From the shadows, Ion emerged. His eyes glinted like black coals. His smile stretched too wide, teeth sharp, dripping with the memory of his victims. The villagers trembled, but Father Ionescu stepped forward. He began to chant prayers older than memory, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his chest. The Romanian vampire hissed, a sound like iron scraping against stone. He lunged faster than any human could move, striking at the nearest villager. A shout rang out, a stake thrust, and the creature recoiled, its skin flaring where the holy oil touched him. Father Ionescu advanced, throwing salt in a wide arc. The Strigoi hissed, retreating slightly, but his eyes never left the priest. "You cannot hold me," he growled. "I am beyond death." The villagers, inspired by the priest's courage, joined the circle. They drove stakes toward him, chanting prayers, tossing oil and salt. Ion shrieked, a sound that shook the walls of the church, bending the shadows around them. Flames from torches licked at his form, yet he did not burn. He backed toward the forest, then lunged again, faster and more furious than before. Father Ionescu planted a stake in the ground and plunged another directly into the Strigoi's chest. This time, the scream that tore from Ion's throat was different, almost human, almost pleading. His body convulsed, twisting, shrinking into shadows. Then, as quickly as he had appeared, he vanished, leaving nothing but scorched earth, broken twigs, and the faint smell of iron. The villagers sank to their knees, trembling, exhausted, but alive. Father Ionescu lowered his crucifix, whispering prayers of thanks. The Strigoi had been defeated, for now. Yet even as dawn broke, the priest could feel it in his bones. The Romanian vampire never truly dies. Somewhere in the dark, Ion waited, patient, hungry, ready to return. The villagers believed they had survived, but Father Ionescu warned them. The Strigoi, the Romanian vampire, never dies. He only waits. On the fourth night, the air grew heavy, the fires dimmed, and silence spread through the streets. Then came a knock at the church door, slow, deliberate. The door burst open, and Ion stood there, pale, twisted, his black eyes gleaming with hunger. His presence filled the church like a suffocating fog. The villagers screamed, throwing salt and holy water, but nothing slowed him. Flames curled harmlessly around his body. His laughter rolled like thunder. "Did you truly think you could banish me?" he hissed. Father Ionescu raised his crucifix, chanting prayers that shook with desperation. Ion lunged, knocking him to the floor. As the Strigoi bent low, the crucifix blazed with sudden light. He recoiled, shrieking. The villagers seized their chance. Stakes pierced his arms. Chains blessed with oil wrapped around his body. He writhed, shrieking with both rage and agony. Shadows bled from his mouth, curling like smoke. The priest staggered to his feet, chanting the forbidden rite. The ground trembled. The air split with Ion's scream, part beast, part man. His body twisted, collapsing, dragged into the earth by unseen hands. Then silence. The chains clattered empty to the floor. The fires steadied. The Strigoi was gone. Father Ionescu whispered, "He is bound, but not destroyed. The Romanian vampire waits beneath the soil. One day when fear returns, he will rise again." The villagers did not celebrate. They only locked their doors tighter, knowing the night still belonged to him. The Strigoi, the Romanian vampire, was bound, but his hunger will never end. Do you believe he is truly gone, or only waiting beneath the earth? Like this video, subscribe for more chilling tales, and comment, would you dare face the Strigoi if he rose again?